So friends, the month of January started, or I guess more precisely, 1 week into the month of January, with Congress certifying the election win of an adjudicated insurrectionist. And the month ended with rampant illegality and unconstitutionality of Trump and his administration. But friends, don't be despondent, don't lay down, don't give up, don't give in, because that's precisely what they want. Stay strong, keep fighting, remain focused on the non-negotiable need for accountability, for allegiance to the rule of law, and for justice. Because justice matters. Friends, here's a brief recap of the legal stories for the month that was January 2025. So friends, first off, Happy New Year, everyone. This will be our last monthly legal recap video as we leave 2024 behind and go barreling off into 2025 together. Well, friends, if we cared about or chose to remain loyal to the text of the Constitution, then by all rights, January 6th should be Trump disqualification day. But do we really expect it to be? Well, friends, we finally have a sentencing date in Donald Trump's New York criminal case. On January 10th, Judge Merchan will sentence Donald Trump on his 34 felony guilty verdicts for crimes that he committed to try to cheat in the 2016 presidential election. On the eve of what will be a very dark anniversary, the 4-year anniversary of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, we're going to open our one-on-one interview series with Harry Dunn. So, Harry, welcome. I'm so thrilled to have you here, brother.
For having me, my friend. Glad to be here. Really honored to be talking with you, and shout out to your guests. You guys, your listeners. You have some amazing listeners and some very smart ones too. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate all their support too.
But I want you to share with the viewers, how is it that you ended up being an active federal prosecutor working on January 6th and being present at the U.S. Capitol at the time of the Capitol attack? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think to answer that question, we have to take a few steps back to what was going on in the summer of 2020.
So friends, today, January 6th, 2025, unlike 4 years ago, we saw a peaceful election certification. Unlike 4 years ago when Donald Trump lost. So he and his band of insurrectionists attacked the Capitol, assaulted police officers, destroyed property because they didn't like the results. Today, Kamala Harris and the Democrats acted like adults, like patriots, like people who love and respect American democracy, win, lose, or draw. And today, Kamala Harris presided over an orderly, peaceful election certification process. So friends, did Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon just abuse her judicial discretion a third time? Yet again, doing something to the extreme benefit of Donald Trump that the law does not allow? So friends, federal prosecutors down in Florida just responded to Judge Aileen Cannon's attempts to shut down the release of the entire report authored by special counsel Jack Smith, the report documenting Donald Trump's crimes. Well, friends, the United States Supreme Court just issued an order rejecting Donald Trump's last-ditch, desperate attempt to avoid being sentenced on his 34 felony guilty verdicts in New York. That means, as of Friday, January 10th, 2025, the next president of the United States will officially and for all time be a convicted felon. Well, friends, Donald Trump, former president of the United States, future president of the United States, and now, officially and for all time, convicted felon. So, friends, are you sick and tired of Donald Trump's endless lies that play 24/7 on unrelenting media loops? Example, did you hear the audio recording of Donald Trump bloviating at yesterday's sentencing hearing in his criminal case in New York? I'll bet you did. Now, did you hear audio recordings of the prosecutor's statement to the court yesterday about the crimes Donald Trump was convicted of and the damage done by those crimes? Well, friends, Jack Smith has officially resigned as special counsel and has left the Department of Justice. Was this move inevitable, or does it represent obeying an aspiring dictator in advance? So, friends, let's take on two related stories. First, it looks like Judge Aileen Cannon has relented, and she has paved the way for the Department of Justice to release Volume 1 of Jack Smith's special counsel report. That's the volume documenting Donald Trump's 2020 election subversion crimes. And in a second story, we just learned that the Arizona Attorney General, Chris Mays, has formally requested that the Department of Justice turn over to her and her prosecutors all of the evidence Jack Smith developed of Donald Trump and his associates' election subversion crimes. Why? Well, so the Arizona prosecutors can use that evidence in their ongoing criminal prosecution of guys like Mark Meadows, Rudy Giuliani, and the others who tried to undermine the 2020 election results in Arizona. And this second story, friends, has an interesting twist. Well, friends, we now have Volume 1 of Special Counsel Jack Smith's report documenting Donald Trump's election interference crimes, his attempts to steal the 2020 presidential election, his determination to undermine the express will of the American voters. Well, friends, Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, had her Senate confirmation hearing today. Are we confident that she will be a fair and impartial Attorney General on behalf of all of the American people? Will she be independent of Donald Trump's worst instincts? Or is she just going to be another Bill Barr? Well, friends, there's been a really interesting development in Rudy Giuliani's defamation case. The case in which Georgia state election workers Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman were awarded by a jury $148 million due to Rudy's repeated and savage defamation of them. And this new development for us, if I can be so bold as to speak for us for a minute, this new development is as curious as it is unsatisfying. So, friends, are you sitting down? Because we just learned that Judge Aileen Cannon is about to do Donald Trump another solid. Shocking, I know. So, friends, full disclosure. Today's Justice Matters video will not involve legal analysis. It's more of a Donald Trump reality check video regarding cold weather and crowd sizes. So friends, in a last-minute presidential move, President Joe Biden decided to pardon some innocent folk, people who committed no crimes, to try to protect them against baseless, bad faith prosecutions by Donald Trump. Two questions. One, how effective are these pardons in protecting people against Donald Trump's vindictiveness? And two, what are the possible consequences and long-term implications of a practice that involves pardoning the innocent? So friends, Donald Trump just made clear in a very direct and concrete way that he does not back the blue, the police, the men and women of law enforcement. No, he backs those who beat the blue, who attack and assault the men and women of law enforcement. So friends, Donald Trump apparently thinks he can pick up his little pen, sign a piece of paper, and thereby revoke portions of the Constitution. He can't. So friends, yesterday I did a Justice Matters video on how Donald Trump's executive order revoking the constitutional guarantee of birthright citizenship would be struck down by the courts. What I didn't know is just how quickly it would happen, because today, a federal judge who's been on the bench for more than 40 years and who was appointed to the federal bench by President Ronald Reagan just told Donald Trump and his administration and his DOJ lawyers who went into court to argue in favor of that executive order, he told them that Trump's executive order is, quote, blatantly unconstitutional, close quote. Points of light, friends, points of light. So friends, even as judges are pushing back on Donald Trump's pardons of January 6th defendants, some of those defendants are already out in the street making America less safe. Yeah, I know. Who could have seen that coming? So friends, do you know what an inspector general does in our federal government? What we usually call an IG? An inspector general's job is to prevent, to detect, and to investigate fraud, waste, and abuse in government. IGs are watchdogs, keeping an eye out for those who would misuse their office for personal gain. They are shepherds of good government, honest government, ethical government. So, of course, Donald Trump just tried to fire 15 inspectors general from the federal government. And based on some reporting, it even looks like Donald Trump may have violated the federal law in the way he went about trying to fire these 15 inspectors general. So friends, Senator Lindsey Graham just declared very publicly that in firing more than a dozen inspectors general, Donald Trump technically violated the law. But Lindsey Graham was quick to add that he's not really losing much sleep over it.
Start with a little bit of Barb's background. And Barb, first, let me say welcome to Justice Matters One-on-One.
I've been waiting for this moment. Thank you, Glenn.
So Barb is a journalist and an author. She was with NPR for 20 years. She's also a contributing writer at The Atlantic. She has covered the Department of Justice. She has covered religion as a reporter. And she's the author of multiple books, including the new one, Bringing Ben Home.
So friends, Donald Trump is firing, purging the very people, the prosecutors, who tried to hold criminals accountable, who tried to uphold the rule of law, and who tried to protect and preserve American democracy. So, friends, Donald Trump's Department of Justice just dismissed the classified documents case against Donald Trump's former co-defendants, thereby protecting Donald Trump. You know, this kind of shit would make the mafia blush. So, friends, today was the Senate confirmation hearing for Donald Trump's nominee to head the FBI, Kash Patel. Now, here's the question. Can a guy who can clearly say Donald Trump won a presidential election, but who can't say that Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election, a guy who can't speak that simple truth to the Senate or to the American people, presumably or inferentially because he's afraid of how Donald Trump might react? Can a guy like that really stand up to Donald Trump and his worst instincts? Can a guy like that really be the head of the FBI? Let's talk about that, because justice matters.
It's for sure. Justice matters. Justice matters. Justice matters.